Imagine buying a $1 billion company while putting up only a fraction of the money yourself. That's the basic idea behind a leveraged buyout, or LBO. It's how private equity firms can acquire companies, amplify their returns, and sometimes generate enormous gains or serious losses. A leveraged buyout is when an investor, usually a private equity firm, acquires a company using a significant amount of borrowed money. Instead of paying for the entire company with their own capital, they might put up only 20 to 40% as equity and borrow the remaining 60 to 80%. The acquired company's cash flows are expected to service that debt, and its assets often serve as collateral. At a basic level, the purchase price is funded with two sources: equity and debt. Equity is the money the private equity firm and its investors actually contribute. Debt is the borrowed money used to complete the acquisition. And because that debt has to be repaid, the company's future cash flows become a central part of whether the deal works. Here's how a typical LBO unfolds. First, the private equity firm identifies a target, often a company with stable cash flows and room for operational improvement. They raise debt financing alongside their equity commitment. Then they acquire the company. Once in control, they use the company's cash flows to pay down that debt over time while working to improve profitability. After 3 to 7 years, they exit, selling the company through an IPO to another buyer or to another private equity firm. Now here's where the math gets interesting. In a simplified example, suppose you buy a company for $100 million and later sell it for $150 million. If you paid entirely with equity, you made $50 million on a $100 million investment. That's a 50% return. But suppose you only put in $25 million of equity and borrowed $75 million. When you sell for $150 million, you pay back the $75 million in debt. You're left with $75 million. Since you originally invested $25 million, that means you made $50 million of profit on a $25 million investment. That's a 200% return compared to the 50% in the unleveraged case. But leverage is a double-edged sword. The same mechanics that amplify gains also amplify losses. Using the same $100 million company, suppose the sale price falls to $75 million. The all-equity investor loses $25 million on a $100 million investment, or 25%. But the leveraged investor still has to pay back the $75 million of debt. After that, there's nothing left for equity, so the investor loses their entire $25 million equity stake. Worse, if the company can't generate enough cash flow to service its debt, it could face bankruptcy, wiping out equity holders completely. This is why private equity firms are selective about their targets. Strong LBO candidates generally have stable, predictable cash flows that can reliably service debt. They have manageable capital expenditure needs, leaving more cash for debt repayment. They often have operational inefficiencies that new management can address, and ideally, they're trading at valuations below their intrinsic value. But LBOs carry real limitations. The heavy debt load leaves little room for error. Economic downturns can turn a manageable debt burden into an insurmountable one. And the pressure to service debt can lead to cost cutting that hurts long-term competitiveness, like reducing research spending or laying off workers. Critics argue that some LBOs prioritize financial engineering over genuine value creation. The core insight is this: an LBO lets investors control large assets with relatively small equity stakes. Leverage amplifies returns when things go well, but it also amplifies risk when they don't. The strategy tends to work best with stable cash flow businesses where debt can systematically be paid down. If you want to learn about private equity in more detail, check out the Private Equity Certificate from Wharton Online. Use my code for up to $500 off. The code is RyanOC. Go to ryano.finance/WhartonPE. You can also find the link in the pinned comment and description.